Welcome, Bitcoin fam, to No One Daily, Bitcoin Pod. Happy Sunday Fun Day. I will be preaching the holy gospel of Satoshi for the next couple of hours. Bitcoin pumping back in the green. Also, Michael Saylor hints at Bitcoin purchase as well stack aggressively. There was another post of the Saylor tracker, and pretty religiously, every time he posts that on a Sunday, a big announcement is made on Monday, so it's to be expected. We'll also be discussing El Salvador continues to add Bitcoin despite the recent IMF deal. In fact, quoting Max, he ultimately says El Salvador has been stacking every single day, contrary to what the IMF has said. And we have the proof of work to back it up. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin was never coupled with anything, according to the high priest, Max Kaiser. Also, he made a 2 million Bitcoin forecast amid the recent news of Capital versus Strategy. That's 21 Capital, Jack Mallers' new company backed by Howard Lutnick, as well as Tether, multi-billion-dollar giants. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin's power law model is forecasting a $200,000 Bitcoin price this year in 2025. I'll be breaking down the timeline, as well as breaking news. Bitcoin Treasury firms are driving $200 trillion hyperbitcoinization, according to the Bitcoin OG, Adam Back. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more in today's show. If you're new to the channel, very important to smash the likes, go ahead, subscribe, then ring the bell to turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, just like this. Today is Sunday Fun Day. It's April 27th, 2025. This is episode number 1975. I'm your host, JV. Happy Sunday Fun Day, and shout out to my co-host, the one and only Nipinator. Let's kick it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day. Pretty little bitty finally flipped back in the green, trading above 94,400 at the time of the live stream. Ether correcting, BNB correcting, while Solana, XRP, and Sui are all pumping. And checking out coinmarketcap.com. The current crypto market cap currently sits at just shy of 3 trillion at 2.96 trillion on the day. The Bitcoin market cap just shy of 1.9 trillion. As far as the volume, we got 60 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours, down 10.5% on the day. Bitcoin dominance, same as yesterday, 63.3%, making a run this week. Ether dominance is at 7.4 after touching a bottom at roughly 7 a few days back. And checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours, we got Walrus up 23%, followed by the Pudgy Penguins up 21%. That's a blackjack, baby. We also have the Radium up 8%, but let me know which alts, if any, you're bullish on for the bull. Holla at your boy. And checking out the crypto bubbles, we get a visual perspective on the day. Let it flip. Okay, almost everything, according to this, is actually in the red, minus Fartcoin, Pudgy Penguins, and Walrus and Ray. So not a good look overall. But zooming out a little on the week, everything is virtually in the green. And zooming out on the month, get a broader perspective past 30 days. I'd say 60-40 green over red in the overall market. And checking out the crypto greed and fear index. Today we're at 61 greed, yesterday at 65, last week at 37, and last month at 44 in fear. And checking out the infamous time chain calendar. We have 155,781 blocks until the halving of 2028. And we're currently on block number 894,219, and for some reason it's not loading, or I'd give you some more data. Let's see if it fixes itself here. And again, welcome everyone just joining the live stream, dual stream today. We're live on X and YouTube, and hopefully we can maintain being glitch free. So here we go. You can currently exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 1,060 sats. So pick up the sats, put down the gats, and pick up some of the Bitcoin chaps. Over at bitcoincaps.net, let's do a little TA, aka Astrology for the broskies. Headline here reads, Bitcoin trades at a 40% discount as the spot Bitcoin ETF buying soars to $3 billion in just a single week, meaning the ETF volume is so back it's a blackjack. Bitcoin trading at a 40% discount to its intrinsic value, according to Capriole Investment founder Charles Edwards. Edwards highlighted that since the April 2024 halving, which reduced the block rewards to 3.125 BTC, Bitcoin's energy value, an estimate based on mining costs and energy consumption, currently stands at 130,000. So that would be an all-time high. And that's ironic because on the weekly chart, we had that $124,000 target sitting there for several months and just a matter of time. And based on data from Crypto Quant, they indicated over 8,756 of the biddy, 830 million worth, were withdrawn from Coinbase just on April 24th. Negative net flows from Coinbase could point towards institutional buying or the ETF-related purchases reflecting the underlying demand. This development lines up with the spot Bitcoin ETF inflows witnessed this week. For example, Eric Balchunas, Bloomberg ETF analyst, suggests the institutions went on a $3 billion Bitcoin bender over the past few days. Binance also witnessed exchange outflows of 27,750 biddy on April 25th. Alfractal founder Joao Wetson noted this is the third largest Bitcoin outflow in the exchange history. And although the large outflows and positive price action suggest the bullish tailwinds, Wetson said that they do not automatically mean a continued rally, quoting him here. In 2021, massive outflows didn't prevent the dump triggered by China's crypto ban from April to May. But on the other hand, continuous outflows on several days, like during the FTX collapse, signaled a bottom and a recovery. Bitcoin's weekly performance, meanwhile, marks the highest return in 2025 and its most significant uptick. That's right. This is the most significant weekly candle we will have. We get a weekly close in roughly another hour, so during our live stream, we'll get it. Besides similar returns, the biddy price also reflects identical price action. That's right. As illustrated here on the daily chart, and I'll be pulling up the live chart here in a moment, Bitcoin is consolidating at a higher range after the breakout, mirroring behavior from Q4 of 2024. And after a 13% rise between November 5th to the 9th, biddy posted another 15% increase November 10th to the 11th. That's a blackjack, baby. The breakout took place during the weekend as well. Similarly, the biddy price has risen 11%, another divine omen, between April 21st and the 25th, with the RSI exhibiting similar buying pressure. A 7 to 10% jump over the next few days could take the preload biddy back above $100,000. So the mystery remains, when will we reclaim the coveted six-figure mark? Will it happen this week? Is this week the magical week? And keep in mind, less than a couple of weeks ago, we were all the way down to 74. So we're up 21,000 since the local bottom. That's a blackjack, baby. So let me know your thoughts. I'll read your comments out loud, but I'm also going to pull up some of the live charts, and we'll do a little live chart action Jackson satisfaction for the broskies here on a Sunday. A great day to be alive. So yeah, you should be able to see the charts here in just a second. It's updating. A bada boom, I bought a Bitcoin. There you have it. Right here, you're looking at the 1 hour chart via Coinbase via TradingView. Bullish pennant formation sensation, followed by some sideways trading action. Bull green scenario. Bullish pennant target in play, just shy of 103 G's, baby. Send it. Can't wait to get back above 100K. I think it's going to happen this week, but you guys let me know your thoughts. And checking out the 4 hour. The 4 hour says it's going up forever, JB. Rising wedgie, my favorite type of wedgie. We do have a bear scenario, green, showing at 86.2. That would be a retrace, roughly 8,000. And zooming out a little further, we'll take a look at a daily. Daily candle closes have been surging this week. In fact, we had 7 consecutive green daily closes, which is good. Good sign. Bull target in play on the daily, just shy of 112,000, which would take us back to price discovery. Currently at 109.3, achieved all the way back on January 20th, inauguration day for the Trump Meister. And bear scenario, just shy of 69 G's, baby. And zooming out a little further, we'll take a quick look at a weekly. And again, probably within an hour, we get the weekly close. Big green candle formed on the week. Good bullish sign, especially consider we bottomed out at that 74 level. That'll make 3 consecutive green weekly candle closes after 2 consecutive monthly, bearish prints via the monthly chart, which we'll pull up here really quick. And we still have the 124,000 target in play, of course, here on the weekly chart. But taking a quick look at a monthly, finally, the month of April has been bullish. 2 previous months have been bearish, so it seems like the bullish momentum is back. Jack. Our next headline reads, just give me a second, it's regarding Michael Saylor. He just posted another Saylor tracker. So yeah, Michael Saylor hints at Bitcoin purchase as the whales stack aggressively. That's right. The whales and the large institutions continue their aggressive Bitcoin accumulation as they should, with strategy hinting at another Bitcoin investment that may be announced most likely tomorrow. Here's the reason why. Every single time Michael Saylor posts the Saylor tracker, the following day is a massive announcement, like clockwork. So, as you can see here, Saylor made the post. Most likely, he's going to make the announcement for tomorrow. So yeah, he said, stay humble, stack sats. Couldn't agree more. Spurring investor speculation on the size of the firm's next Bitcoin investment. I'm going to speculate 1.1 billion. However, popular analysts are saying it could be 1.4 to 1.6. So what do I know? Hopefully, the more the merrier at the end of the day. Strategy, if you don't know, is the world's largest corporate Bitcoin holder and the first corporation to embrace Bitcoin on the balance sheet. They now hold over 538,200 Bitcoin, worth over $50.5 billion. That's right, $50.5 billion. And he's not slowing down anytime soon. The firm's investment philosophy inspired the other companies to adopt the biddy, including Japanese investment firm Meta Planet, which recently surpassed 5,000 of the biddy in an effort to lead Bitcoin adoption in Asia. Their goal is 10,000 Bitcoin before the end of the year. And by the end of next year, they literally are seeking 21,000 Bitcoin. Sexy blackjack biddy babe. Whales are large Bitcoin investors also accumulating the Bitcoin under the 100,000 psychological mark, which will more than likely recapture, I think, this week, but let me know your thoughts. Whale wallets holding at least 1 million worth of the biddy restarted their accumulation at the beginning of April, increasing from 124,000 wallets on April 7th to over 137,600 wallets on April 26th, as per data from Glassnode. The aggressive whale accumulation helped Bitcoin's recovery above 94. Quoting an analyst here, wallets holding over 10,000 Bitcoin have been aggressively accumulating with a trend score of 0.90, while smaller investors are also pivoting towards long-term hodling, because that's where it's at. Trump confirmed discussions with China ongoing, with Beijing offering exemptions on select U.S. imports, suggesting a softening tone. Still, markets are awaiting tangible action. Jackson, before the re-rating global risks. Bitcoin ETFs, meanwhile, have also contributed to the Bitcoin's near 12% weekly recovery, which we tapped into a little earlier. Finally, $3 billion worth of volume and inflows, which is a great sign of the times. And yeah, Saylor tracker, stay humble, stack sats. How much do you think the announcement will be for the preload biddy for tomorrow? As per the Giga Chad, holla. Next headline reads regarding El Salvador. El Salvador has Bitcoin, but is complying with the IMF deal. Which one is it? Are they adding Bitcoin or complying? Because the IMF deal said they can't add Bitcoin or some bullshit like that. Well, here's a fact. They are purchasing the Bitcoin. I had all like the tweets of them purchasing it. They make an announcement every day, typically buying 1 Bitcoin. But when I had to restart the stream, I wasn't able to find everything that took me hours to search for earlier. So just take my word for it. Also, Max Kaiser, as a bonus, says Bitcoin was never coupled with anything. You know, a lot of people talking about the great decoupling from the stocks and such like that, which we'll dive into a little later. But first, let's talk about El Salvador. First and foremost, they are continuing to buy, and they have been continuing to buy since striking the IMF deal. I'm just telling you what I know for a fact. They accepted the deal to receive the $1.4 billion. There was probably a lot of political pressure, maybe potentially on Bukele, to do so. And then it created a lot of speculation and controversy in the market. People are like, oh no, Bukele just made a deal with the devil. He accepted a $1.4 billion from El Salvador. Now they're going to stop their Bitcoin accumulation. Well, guess what? They're not stopping. In fact, they've been purchasing more Bitcoin since receiving or making or striking the $1.4 billion deal. And here's the proof of work right here. You can see their Bitcoin holdings, 6,159 Bitcoin, currently valued at roughly 578 million, purchasing on an average of one per day. You can see in the past 7 days, 7 Bitcoin, and in the past 30 days, 30 Bitcoin. That's an average of one per day. So they're not slowing down. My understanding, he's just going to use that 1.4 billion to purchase that much more Bitcoin and make the country that much more wealthy. However, the IMF themselves are spreading the FUD, and that's the issue. The IMF cannot be trusted. Whenever, or let me ask this question. Anytime in history, is the IMF known for helping countries, or are they known for economically destroying them by offering loans that cannot be paid back? And this is all referenced via a very classic novel called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. In fact, I don't need to read any of the story because I'm just going to speak to you about this because it's more significant. So yeah, there's a book floating out there called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And this is how it works. The IMF, which is ultimately the World Bank that controls the money and what money goes to what countries and so forth. They typically give you loans that they know you're not going to be able to pay back. And then they start stealing and pillaging your resources. This is kind of what they do. They have a history of doing it. Obviously, they're not the good people. Central bankers and bankers in general are typically not the good guys. They know how to use that to ultimately weaponize whatever motives or agendas that they have. And I think it's very clear since Bukele, and I actually happen to be rocking the Bitcoin country cap today, and shout out Sergio, that's where I got this from, bitcoincaps.net. So since El Salvador adopted Bitcoin as legal tender and was the first country to do so, the IMF and mainstream media have been fudding Bukele and El Salvador ever since, trying to make an example of them so that other countries don't follow in their footsteps. Because what's the biggest threat to the central banking cartel or the World Bank or the IMF? Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Their greatest fear, in my opinion, is other countries following the Bukele playbook and adopting Bitcoin as a legal tender. So they're going to do everything in their power to spread lies and use the media to weaponize those lies to spread what we call FUD or propaganda. And that's precisely what the IMF does. So quoting Max Kaiser, in El Salvador, we choose the day we bury the IMF. And so maybe in the future, the IMF won't even be a thing, but at this current time and landscape, I mean, it's part of the forces of evil. It's part of the lizard folk. And that's why we strike the gong so often here on our stream, because we have no respect for the forces of evil. Hence, the lizard folk, the IMF, the world bankers, the central banking cartels, and all of their allies. This gong strike is to raise our vibration and to basically cast out the devil and all the devilish forces of evil from our planet. So, biddy up. Michael Saylor is the man. Michael the Sailor Man. Toot toot. Precisely. But there you have it. Nothing more than FUD. Anything the IMF says, take with a grain of salt, right? They're notorious thieves. They're notorious extortion artists and liars. And I think we can all agree there. Okay, the latest from Max Kaiser. And as you know, we covered a few episodes ago, he's also projecting 2.2 million as a cycle peak within the next 5 years. He also says, there's a new article that was just published, Bitcoin was never coupled with anything. You know, people are like, Bitcoin's finally decoupling from the stocks. Max has a different thought. He believes it was never coupled to begin with, right? It was all an illusion. So here we go. And shout out to the high priest, the one and only Max Kaiser. I greatly respect and appreciate the fact you reposted today's stream and all the reposts from the high priest. It's a true honor. I had a great time out there in Bitcoin country. And also, before I read into the story, the next Max and Stacy Invitational, it's going to take place in January of 2026. Tickets go on sale in 4 more days, May 1st. And my thinking is tickets are going to sell out within 30 minutes. So if you plan on visiting Bitcoin country to kick it with Max and Stacy, your boy JV, because I will be there. Make sure to purchase your ticket May 1st or you may not be able to come. So I just want to throw that out there. But anyways, I digress. Best Bitcoin event I've ever been to. Bitcoin was never coupled with anything. Kaiser commented on a tweet that featured an excerpt from the interview with CEO Rithol's wealth management company, Josh Brown, who stated over the last week the two decoupled from the NASDAQ, referring to the biddy. Kaiser, as we know, is the high priest, reacted to that, stating that Bitcoin has always been following its own vector. In fact, that's one of his famous quotes. Bitcoin was never coupled with anything. That was all an illusion. Adding his favorite refrain, everything goes to zero against Bitcoin. That's a fact, Jack. He recently resumed sharing his ultra bullish prediction that the Bitcoin is headed to 220,000. That's short-term target. That can happen any moment. Let me know if you feel that will happen this year in 2025, considering it's the year preceding the halving. And also, historically, Bitcoin has shown us every single cycle that come before us that between 12 and 18 months after the halving, we hit a cycle peak. Thus far, it's been literally 12 months since the halving of April of 2024. So history shows us within the next 6 months, we may expect or anticipate a new all-time high potentially for the cycle unless things are different this time around. And we have the extended cycle now that the institutional FOMO and the nation state adoption, the executive order, the strategic reserve bill to stack the biddy for the U.S. Treasury. Maybe that just changed the entire game. But if history is to rhyme, within the next 6 months, massive price target. And that's why I think this 220 is likely in play. But you let me know your thoughts, quoting Max. Bitcoin was never coupled with anything. Bitcoin has always been on its own vector. Everything goes to zero against the biddy. And that was off the back of the tweet from Vivek, $4 billion CEO, just said, Bitcoin is decoupled from the NASDAQ. Well, we've known that the entire time. And one of the experts who has also been vocal about Bitcoin correlation with the tech NASDAQ index has been a senior commodity strategist at Bloomberg Intelligence, Mr. Mike McGlone. He believes the biddy is about to crash. I disagree there. Similar to the NASDAQ in 2000 when the dot-com bubble bursted. But there you have it. Max also again calling for 2.2 million in play, especially off the back of all the net neutral ways the United States can accumulate Bitcoin without costing taxpayers a dime. That's the key. They could trade their gold reserves. We need to audit Fort Knox. It hasn't been audited in 50 to 60 years. Craziness. Yeah, I mean, also they can print money out of thin air and just purchase Bitcoin up with it. There's only enough Bitcoin in the world for one country to plant their flag and become the Bitcoin superpower. Yeah, I mean, let's move on to our next story of the day. Headline here reads, Bitcoin power law model forecast 200,000 pre-low biddy price in 2025. I'll be breaking down the timeline. Here we have it. Excuse me, a Bitcoin price rally at 11% this week. You just got to love that number, right? Its best weekly return thus far this year and the highest 7-day growth since early November 2024. Bitcoin also reached 95,000 April 25th for the first time since February 24th. As you can see here on the weekly chart, and we get our weekly candle close in roughly 30 minutes. So this is the strongest weekly candle we've seen in a very long time. 21st Capital co-founder Sina mentioned that the biddy reclaimed the power law price. Let me know if you're familiar with the power law model. The power law's predictive accuracy stems from the Bitcoin network growth following Metcalfe's law, where the value scales up with the square of the users. So based on Sina's Bitcoin quantile model, reclaiming the power law price keeps pre-low biddy on track to hit a price target of 130 Gs to 163,000 before the end of the year. Can't wait. Send it, is all I gotta say. As illustrated here in the chart, Bitcoin's currently in the transition range where the biddy accumulation occurs. Once it breaks into the acceleration zone, the crypto asset enters the rally's 33 to 66% range, progressively targeting 106 and 130,000 to 163,000 over the next few months. Bullish. However, anonymous Bitcoin analyst APSK32 predicted the biddy price target could go as high as 200,000 this year. I dare say 220 incoming as per the high priest. The prediction is based on the Bitcoin power curve time contours, which overlay the Bitcoin price movements across the 4-year cycles. For example, 2013, 2017, 2021, 2025. The chart suggests a strong performance in Q3 and Q4 of 2025. And with the analyst noting the Bitcoin historical 4-year cycle continues to remain intact. That's a fact, Jack. In fact, it's a blackjack. Looking at the 2-year segment centered for today, 4, 8, 12 years ago. The price scaling performed using the power law curve trend line, expecting 200,000 plus per biddy in Q4. Gold suggests we go higher, significantly higher, especially if we take out that gold market cap. You know what I mean? The great, what is it called? When everyone goes from one asset to the other, my mind went blank, but that's going to occur. And right now the gold market cap is like 22 trillion. Bitcoin market cap is not even 2 trillion. So just goes to show you how much growth we have in store for us. And since the beginning of 2024, Bitcoin and gold have posted new highs in the market, with each asset outperforming the other during specific periods. As illustrated by the chart, Bitcoin and gold achieved new highs between March and August of 2024. However, the third quarter of last year, gold spearheaded the rally, surpassing the Bitcoin performance. And by Q4, Bitcoin regained momentum, outpacing the precious metal and maintaining its lead until March of 2025, when gold once again made the next move and took the lead. And here you can see the Bitcoin gold price performance versus, gold versus Bitcoin. Now, gold is leading the Bitcoin thus far this year, but has dropped 6% since hitting the new high of roughly 3,500 an ounce, while Bitcoin gained 11%, a divine omen. And as reported, the Bitcoin tends to follow gold's directional bias with a lag of 100 to 150 days. So based on this narrative, Bitcoin, it's possible it could lead gold in the coming weeks, and I think it's a given. Take that, Peter Schiffmeister. Similarly, the DXY, which is the US dollar index, dropped to a new 3-year low. And the word I was looking for earlier was capitulating, right? When someone capitulates from one asset to the other. Just like we all know, it's only a matter of time before Peter Schiff capitulates with all his foreign gold stocks into the biddy. And did you hear he's now accepting Bitcoin donations? You can't make this ish up. But quoting crypto analyst venture founder here, traditionally the DXY going down is very bullish for the biddy. We now have a massive bearish divergence for the DXY, which may suggest it goes to 90. The last 2 times this happened triggered a Bitcoin parabolic bull run in the final phase of the bull market, lasting a whopping 12 months. And if you don't know, now you know. Now for our feature story of the day, Biddy fam. Bitcoin Treasury firms are driving a $200 trillion hyper-Bitcoinization, according to the Bitcoin OG himself, the one and only Adam Back. Let's break this baby down. Can you say hyper-Bitcoinization? Yes, please. Investment firms with Bitcoin-focused treasuries are front-running the global Bitcoin adoption, which may see the world's first cryptocurrency known as Bitcoin soar to 200 trillion market cap in the coming decade. And as of today, the Bitcoin market cap is less than 2 trillion. So you already know, 100x incoming. Institutions and governments around the world are starting to recognize the unique monetary properties of the Biddy. According to Adam Back, the Bitcoin OG himself, the co-founder and CEO of the Blockstream and the inventor of the Hashcash. Yes, please. MSTR and the other treasury companies are an arbitrage of the dislocation between the Bitcoin future and today's fiat world, the fiat apocalypse. A sustainable and scalable 200 trillion trade front-running hyper-Bitcoinization, scalable enough for the most big listed companies to move to a Bitcoin treasury. That's right. Hyper-Bitcoinization refers to the theoretical future where Bitcoin soars to become the largest global currency, replacing fiat money due to the inflationary economics and the growing distrust in the legacy financial system. Quoting Adam Back right here, MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy B, and other treasury companies, such as 21, Jack Mallers' new company, are an arbitrage of the dislocation between the Bitcoin future and today's fiat world. A sustainable and scalable 100 to 200 trillion dollar trade front-running hyper-Bitcoinization, scalable enough for the most big listed companies to move to the Bitcoin treasury. That's right. Bitcoin for the treasury. Bitcoin for my enemies. Bitcoin for the Kennedys. Bitcoin over Hennessy. Right, broskies? Bitcoin price outpacing the fiat money inflation remains the main driver of the global hyper-Bitcoinization. Adam said, some people think the treasury strategy is a temporary glitch. I'm saying no, it's an logical, sustainable arbitrage, right? But not forever. The driver is the Bitcoin price going up for 4-year periods faster than the interest and the inflation. That's right. Back's comments come nearly 2 months after President Trump signed the infamous executive order and established the National Bitcoin Reserve for the Bitcoin forfeited in the government criminal cases. Criminal, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance. options. Continued Bitcoin investments from the likes of Strategy, the largest Bitcoin corporate holder, may inspire, no, it will inspire more global firms to follow suit, like we're witnessing. You now have the Japanese version of MicroStrategy, Metaplanet, again, their goal, and you have Semler Scientific. You have all the new ones spawning up out of the, woodwork as well. Strategy's approach is proven to be lucrative. Yeah, you can say that again. With the firm's Bitcoin Treasury generating over $5.1 billion worth of profit since the beginning of 2025, according to the Strategy co-founder, the one and only GigaJad, Mikey Saylor. That's right. We also have the Japanese investment firm Metaplanet, known as Asia's MicroStrategy, following in the footsteps of the Saylor put, adopting the similar strategy since surpassing 5,000 of the bidding in total holdings just a few days back on April 24th. And again, their goal is to have 21,000 Bitcoin by the end of next year. That's a sexy bitty blackjack. Now, the U.S. financial institutions may also have more confidence in adopting the pretty little bitty after the U.S. Fed withdrew its 2022 guidance, discouraging the banks from engaging with crypto. That's right. The war is over. The war on crypto. Banks are now free to begin supporting the bitty. And that's according to Saylor. In response to the guidance withdrawal, the banks will now be supervised through the normal processes, signaling a more open regulatory environment for digital asset integration. Couldn't agree more. That ultimately means your local banks can now buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin and accept Bitcoin as collateral, which changes the game. That opens the door to Bitcoin-backed loans. How much would you borrow against your Bitcoin if you can borrow? How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? How much bitty would a Cathy Wood stack if the Cathy Wood could only stack the bitty under attack? How much Bitcoin will Michael Saylor accumulate? And how much will the United States of America, China, Russia, as the game theory continues in full effect? You guys let me know, and welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream.